What is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now for another review, this is another film we're talking about today that, well, is new. It's new. I'm getting on with the new releases that have been coming out over the past few weeks. If you couldn't tell, I'm smashing through them all. And today we are talking about the film Missing. Now, for those of you who don't know, this recently came out a couple weeks ago and is another film that is filmed from the perspective of a computer screen. Examples of these kind of films: Unfriended, Profile, Searching, which Missing is actually the sequel to Searching. We have Host, which was a really popular one during COVID, and there's so many more. However, not as many as people think that there is. You know, the perspective of these films is very unique and very different, and it's usually why a lot of these types of films are based as horror, because it's so easy to have a horror film be from that perspective, because it's so invasive, it's so intrusive, it's so personal. And obviously, like, I mean, Unfriended, another one I forgot as well, VHS, of course, VHS. Obviously not from a computer screen, but from, you know, the point of view of a camera, of someone holding the camera, of a first person doing it. VHS is slightly different in that aspect, but, you know, for like Unfriended, for example, that's all done via Skype. You know, Missing is done via the camera of like a FaceTime. You know, when you just have your laptop up and you're on like FaceTime, but you're not actually calling anyone, and you've just got the little box of showing yourself. It's basically from the perspective of that, this entire film. We have some little bits of sort of camera footage here and there, but it's mainly from our main character's computer screen. So yeah, let's talk about Missing. I was looking forward to watching this film, although I wasn't excited as maybe the other films that have been coming out recently. But yeah, I do have some thoughts about this one. It wasn't exactly how I thought it was going to be. So the first thing I'm going to say, just a little introduction so we know where this review is headed. All I'm going to say is I'm glad that I work at a cinema, because if I had paid to watch this film, I would have been really upset with myself. And that lays the base of this review. Unfortunately, Missing was a big miss for me. No pun intended, that was awful. But it didn't do it for me. Missing was so dragged out. It was so long. There was plot holes missing in the story. There wasn't enough time to appreciate our characters and appreciate the relationship between mother and daughter, because that's really what this whole film is about. It's obviously about our main character, June, who has a rocky relationship with her mum, and her dad has passed away and, like, he's not in the picture anymore, is what she thinks anyway. And, you know, obviously at the end we have that sort of bonding moment where they find each other and they respect each other more, and June won't, you know, will text her back now and won't be a moody teenager anymore. Very like your cliche kind of storyline, nothing that we haven't seen before. You know, I just think that with this, it just lacked so much. I genuinely was considering walking out of the theatre, the screen, when I was watching this. I wasn't engaged, and I think because we've seen this before, I think these films can get very boring if they repeat the same patterns as other films have. I think a film that does this, you know, perspective from the laptop, from the computer screen really well is the film Profile. I watched that in cinemas a few years ago, and that film, like, shocked me to my core. Like, I was thrilled, I was scared, like the ending was insane, like, and the fact that Profile was based on a true story, if you know what I'm talking about, like, it's a really big deal, and, you know, shit that happens. But yeah, like, if you know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go and give Profile a Google and a watch, because it's a very, very strong film in my opinion. But that for me is like one of the strongest like films that I've seen that's like this. And unfortunately Missing is just at the bottom of the spectrum for me. Like I said, I think I just had difficulty connecting with the characters. Like, I genuinely didn't care that June's mum had gone missing, because like there's so many films that have this issue, and I think establishing the relationship before or throughout the film, you know, really shows and pulls out the emotion and the feeling for the characters, for the characters, for the audience. It allows everybody to connect. When we knew that her mother had gone missing, obviously we go on this big tangent and time lapse and everything of her googling stuff, her finding stuff out, and can I just say, she guesses every password like that, which is super unrealistic that she would know all this information and so quickly. Another thing that did bug me about this too is obviously during the film, where we eventually hit that point in the film where the FBI, the police, everyone is searching for her mother. And while this is all going on, June is still, hacking into people's like personal profiles and finding out this information and finding security footage and doing this, that, and the other, which, I mean, to be honest with you, that wouldn't really happen, because the police and the FBI would probably take all your shit away from you to actually try and investigate and find out what's going on. And I think as well, like, there was things like that were inconsistent and weren't realistic. Obviously, for those of you who watch my channel, you know I love the realism, the realistic kind of horror, or like films in general. But this, I think because of the way that this is filmed, it's very, in your face. It's very like it's like throwing the camera at the main character. Like, it's very personal, and I think when you're doing stuff like that, you need to make the situations and what she's doing realistic, so that you can connect with her better and actually believe that what we're seeing is happening. Obviously, I don't believe this is a true story or anything, but you know what I mean, like, that will suck you in. This obviously was a serious topic, and stuff like this has happened before, so like people can take it very seriously, or maybe people won't, but it obviously had that tone that was very like on edge and trying to, stress you out and make it overwhelming for the viewer to watch. So yeah, I'm really upset that it wasn't as good as others have been, but I think it's like I said before, this type of filmmaking it's so important that you make it different from the rest, and unfortunately it wasn't. There's so many that are like this. We spend like 90% of the film doing the investigating, looking stuff up, trying to find June's mother on her own, which is just, you're like, okay, unrealistic. It could have been cool if we like jumped to perspectives and maybe we were like in the FBI's computers or something like that. I just felt it very just repetitive and boring, and I was like, number one, we don't have an intro to these characters. Number two, we're spending so long, this like teenage girl in high school just googling stuff, thinking that she knows how to do this and she's gonna be successful and find out all this information, and then her dad like pops out of nowhere and has captured her mum, and like, I don't know, it just seemed it was all just very kind of thrown together and not like really thought out as to how it was going to go. I think the last and final comment that I do have is something that really let this film down. With these type of films, the camera angle is so unique and so different, but because there was a lot of times where we were seeing like her FaceTime window and we were seeing her, and there was times where there was quite a few shots of things happening from the other side of the room, and you're like, I can't really see what's going on here. I could do it like a close-up, like maybe get your phone and like film it. We needed more intrusive and close-up shots to people's faces. I felt like when we were just looking from her computer screen outwards into a whole room, it just felt like, I was just like, this isn't interesting to me at all. The shot is boring. There's nothing going on. And yeah, you just have to be really careful with these films. Some people that I spoke to absolutely adored this film, and it's got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. So people, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but people are obviously loving it. For me, not so much. Like I've said, everything I've said, it wasn't really for me. And I genuinely wasn't engaged or interested. I just kind of wanted the film to be over with. Unfortunately, because I did quite enjoy Searching, and the same director filmmakers from Searching came over to Missing to continue that on, but it didn't hit the mark this time at all. So I think if I was to give this a rating, I would be giving it a 4 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, I do love a film from that perspective, which is what drew me to go to watch it in the first place. But the story, the plot holes, the realism of it all, like the story, how it was pieced together, just didn't work for me, unfortunately. So yeah, that is just kind of what I took from it. I would be interested to see what you guys thought about Missing, and like, for those of you who thought it was really good, I would love for you to explain, comment down below like what you think was so good about it. Obviously I can respect other people's opinions, but for me, I just didn't enjoy it, and that's just sort of how it went. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and do not forget to like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts down below of Missing, and I will see you on my next review.